Char, and Carrie is with me today, and I'm so grateful. And we are in our conversation today about real medicine, and we were both thinking about real medicine and what real medicine is and what real medicine means. And I think that the first important thing to think about is what is real medicine to me may not be real medicine to you, and what is real medicine to someone else might not be, it might not be the right medicine for another person. And so I was thinking about that, and it was also really powerful to look at like the meaning of medicine. And
what did you come up with?
I enjoyed looking around for that. I found that it comes from Latin, the root word medicina, or medicus, physician, from meteor to heal. And the root mad or med occurs in several languages. Middle Persian is medical science, mada, medical science and wisdom. And then the Sanskrit meta, intelligence or wisdom. And the Greek metos is advice or to think about. And I just thought that was so powerful that it comes from intelligence and from wisdom, and that it also means really to advise and to think about. And so I also think about how, how are we reflecting? How are we, reflecting in this time and making good medicine of this time. And so I was thinking about, I was also thinking about our prayer today, and I was thinking about the Mayan prayer or the Four Directions prayer from the Mayans, which is a really beautiful prayer. And in my travels to Mexico, Dana Arabel and Araceli Dominguez really were very instrumental in my learning of this prayer. And so I'd like to open with that today. House of light, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us so we may know all from within. Spirit that lives in the south, house of eternal sun, may we experience the harvest so we may experience our earthly being. Spirit of the west, house of transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action so we may do what must be done. And spirit that lives in the north, may wisdom deepen in us. And the sky, we thank you, house above. And we thank you, house below. We thank you, house of the center. And we're asking for your help at this time. We're asking that you will guide us and assist us at this time. Please hold our conversation. And we're asking, O Yom Hanapku Evamaya Imaho, all hail the harmony of mind and nature. And so in this conversation, I kind of shortened it up just a little bit. But I think they still got all their messages.
That's a good one.
It's so good. And so thank you to my ancestors. So I was thinking about this, and we were talking about a little bit about control and how we're having some thoughts about control and also about the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I love the poem, and I just wanted to speak to that a little bit. I'm sorry, the prayer. What was the part about science? Not science. Wisdom in nature.
Yes. All hail the harmony of mind and nature.
Mind and nature.
Yeah. All hail the harmony of mind and nature. Hanapku Evamaya Imaho. Yeah. All hail the harmony of mind and nature.
I think it's great that you picked that. It's such a beautiful reflection for this time right now, because as you were saying the prayer, I was thinking a lot about just, I'm wondering about the folks who are leading us right now, particularly the scientists, and who do they receive guidance from? Because this is a unprecedented time right now. I mean, there's always, this is always happening in science, where there's questions, and we have sort of there's protocols, and there's very specific methods to get those questions answered. But I what I've observed, and I think others have too, is that some of those methods are kind of off the table right now. Mm-hmm. We've actually had to use more empiric reasoning, and the needing proof for before you have action is we've pulled back from that just out of necessity. And so we really are, I think there was sort of a comfort in the scientific method, because you could always hold that up and say, well, I've made this decision, and I'm taking this action because I have this evidence, and I have proof, and we're out of that realm right now. We're
out of proof.
We're out of. I mean, of course,
great.
It's always nice, but we don't. I have some issues with with evidence-based medicine, but even that being said, I mean, right now we're having to really rely on our wisdom and our observations, and and having to make our best judgments and decisions without the comfort of the scientific method and the evidence that we are so used to relying on. And I think we've done that. I mean, that's been done in medicine forever, even, since the time of evidence-based medicine. Mm-hmm. Doctors and other healthcare providers are always making decisions without strong evidence. It's just how you have to operate. And so you have to rely on your wisdom and your understanding and your observations. So
your intuition.
Yes, and your intuition, and
deep intuitive,
your knowledge of a patient or a situation. And so I think that is just it's kind of being laid bare right now with our current situation, where that those decisions they have to be made using those principles, and we're watching people do that, and I think it's powerful. I think that it's a powerful learning experience for all of us who are used to relying on that on that evidence and that security. We don't have that right now.
We're not secure. Mm-hmm. Woohoo! Partay on not feeling secure is good.
But yes, and that gets into our question, what we were just talking about with the uncertainty, right, about what's happening. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of something I've been really reflecting on these last few days, in particular, just some of the things I've been reading about some of the medicines, and the questions about immunity, and the questions about we're getting a call coming in. So
we have a call. Yay! Hello. Hi, Michael.
Hey, sorry, I totally forgot.
It's okay. Well, we're live right now, so I just called you, and I was like, "Hey!" I thought you would call when you had the chance. So, yeah, are you into it? You want to? I'm doing the class now. Do you want to? I love you, brother. I'm happy to hear your voice.
Yeah, I love you too. Well, I can sing a song, because that's what you want me to do.
Yes, my brother, I would love that.
All right. Mm-hmm. So, which class are you taking?
We're doing a live medicine. I'm doing one of my talks on live medicine, so we're being recorded now on live video. And I just thought it would be nice if you have, because we're talking about real medicine, like, the songs are real medicine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which one you suggest I could do this?
I think, so you guys, this is Michael Cross. He's my brother. He's from South Dakota, and I love him. And I asked him to sing a song for us, a healing song, because the songs are real medicine, and his singing is so beautiful. And he is a gifted leader of the Oglala Lakota Sioux tribe, and I've heard him speak many, many times, and he's a man who speaks right to the heart. And so I thought this would be some good medicine for us if and I asked him to call and sing for us if for a good medicine song. The students are saying hello to you, Michael. They're saying hi, Michael. Yeah.
Tell them all hello.
Yeah, they say hello. He says hello, Mara. So, yeah.
Hello from South Dakota, straight from the reservation.
Hello from South Dakota, straight from the reservation. Oh my God, I'm so happy to hear you. I think maybe Wani Wachielo would be really powerful. And what do you think?
Yeah, so I am live, right?
I'm alive.
You are live, Michael.
Yes. Carrie is here also.
I'll explain a little bit of the history of that song.
Okay. Can you guys hear Michael?
Can you guys all hear me okay out there?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on here. I'm going to take my phone out of because I don't have skills yet. So, there we go. Okay. Can you guys hear him okay? Okay, my friend. Yes. So,
can you guys hear me okay out there?
Yeah, we can hear you. So you're going to explain about the song. Yeah.
And, back in 2016, right before the Sundance of 2016, right around there, I was thinking about all my mother who had a struggle with cancer, and my sister, and who passed away with some cancer, and then my mother, and I thought about my little brother. So I wanted to come up with a song that was carry for to help people to kind of like calm their soul when they have a sick one or a loved one that's sick out there, So the history of that song, I just started humming it, and then all of a sudden it came together,
Oh.
So the song is powerful meaning. It's a powerful journey that spirit. They say when a new song comes like that, it was a song that was made in heaven. You just pushed it down to the earth so that people can get the song,
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, my brother, I love that. Yeah, heaven pushes the song down, so they can receive it. Yes. And so did every.
Anytime you're ready for me to sing the song, I can.
Wonderful. Yes, you can begin anytime you're ready, Michael.
All right. There you go.
Wopila, brother. Thank you so much.
I know.
Woohoo! Thank you for remembering and for calling me.
Yes. I was thinking of after 6 o'clock, so I said I better call and face it up.
I'm glad we always remember, my brother. I love you.
Yes.
I love you.
Have a good class, and then call me later after the class is over.
I will, brother. I love you. Bye-bye. Hello. Thank you, my brother. I love you. I'm so excited. So that is the Wani Wachielo song, and so we were just talking about different kinds of medicine, and there's just something so beautiful about Michael. So many things, but one of the things that's really beautiful is that he carries his father's medicine in such a beautiful way into the world, and so one of the beautiful things that we can carry is we can carry the good, the true, and the beautiful of our ancestors into this time. And so that was a healing song. It's a beautiful song that I love. That's part of my heart, and the song is called Wani Wachielo, and it means I want to live. I want to live. And so that's one of the things that I'm so grateful that we were able to hear that song with him today, because a part of that is, I want to live. And if we weren't able to hear it, then we're hearing the silence, but we're still receiving the energy of the song. We're still receiving the prayer of the song. And so my hope is that some of you were able to hear it, and it's so beautiful. But it means I want to live, and I think that that's where we are right now. Is I want to live, and even though there's some of the confusion and things about this time, then we can have the clarity of what we do remember. And so we were talking about that right when he called. I love that he called me then.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. Yes, and that's one of the reasons I was like, oh, I think I'm going to pray, but I think my brother's going to call and pray, so we're all praying now.
It's true. I mean, it's like everything we're doing is a prayer in some way. Yeah, and I love what you said about that we all carry our own medicine with us in some way. I think a lot of us weren't raised with that. We kind of forget that, that we have that we're carrying medicine with us, whether we can identify where it comes from, or whether we have that strong connection, or whether we're just learning it as we go. I think we all have more power within us than we actually really realize, and I love hearing him sing, and I love, because for me, when I hear that song, or when I hear prayers like that, especially in another language, for some reason it transports me, and I find myself just envisioning like his ancestors all the way through to him, like singing that prayer, and it just it almost gives me chills in some way. It's just such a beautiful and powerful image. So thank you for bringing him on.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I hope you get to see this. I'm going to save it so you can see it and can hear the song. But I think that it's interesting to think about how the good, the true, and the beautiful of our ancestors can come through us. Like, I think one of the important things that we can start thinking about is, that we are the very best of our ancestors. I feel like we are the very best of those who've come before us, and then we have the choice to do even more good. And so I was thinking about, we were thinking about this ability to let go of control, and about, because we all we like that. We like to,
Yes,
but how can we be more flexible? Because it's a lot more fun to be flexible. Right, like I got to like do a little bit of my Mayan prayer from my beautiful family, and in Mexico, and now I can talk to my brother Michael, and I get to be with you, and
prayers from all over the world.
We're getting prayers from all over the world. It's true. So we got to have a lot more prayers this way. So yeah, and it's also important, I think, too, to because I think one of the things is to let go of the need to have everything look good or be all our ducks in a row.
This is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, all of our ducks in a row. Like, our ducks are not in a row. How awesome is that? So it's really beautiful to just let life kind of take you, to let life be what it is, to accept life
on its own terms. Yeah, that's true. It's one of the big challenges that we all come up against, and we had been talking about this issue of control. because it is such a time of uncertainty. And what we were starting to talk about earlier was, I've been just looking at, getting back to the coronavirus and, the questions about immunity and the questions about medication and treatment and the questions about, what can I do to support my system, or, if there's herbs that you can take to, to help. I mean, it's all like everything I read is, it's all said with, there's caveats, because we don't really know. And there's such a high degree of uncertainty, which again, I feel has sort of always been there. And particularly with the type of medicine that I've been doing for these years, which is functional medicine, there's so much unknown. The patients that are coming to see me have tried so many things and aren't getting better. And so we are in that, we're in that realm of they're just willing to try things, and of course not anything dangerous, but we have to use our wisdom and really think through things. There's not evidence for a lot of the things that that I've done with folks, and we operate there so much more than I think we let on, and just in our culture we like to have a lot of certainty, and so I think that
fuck certainty.
I was thinking a lot about how do we come to terms with that degree of uncertainty, and how do we actually get comfortable with it? Is there a way? Question. Is there a way that we can actually make friends with that uncertainty and embrace it in a way? So I was thinking about this question of immunity. Do we actually become immune to the coronavirus? There's a question about that right now, and will these treatments that are coming forward, will they work? And that's also a question right now. There's a lot of conflicting evidence, and there's actually really no evidence. There's a lot of conflicting information coming out about it, and so how do we not despair about that? How do we again just make friends with it and say, okay, this is what's happening? Is like you always say, 80% of everything is working, and how do we focus on that, and how do we not just hone in on what's not working? Because truly what we do see also is the social distancing is working. It's really hard, right, but it's actually it's having an effect. So there's quite a lot that's positive and impactful, and I think it is it's helpful to think about how do we get comfortable with uncertainty. Yeah, I didn't remember that quote, but yeah, it's a
that's great.
Steady
Rosie
Buddhist principle. Yeah,
Peter Chodron's book Comfortable with Uncertainty is great for these times. Oh, thank you, Rosie. That's great.
So anyway, these are just some things that I was thinking about. How do we think about that and just get comfortable with where we're at, because we are all uncomfortable right now. That is clear. There's a lot of discomfort, but maybe this is a growth opportunity. Maybe there's things we can learn that are going to carry us into the next few years, as things I think are going to change going forward. I don't think things will go back to how they were, and that was another topic we were talking about. Yeah,
they can't. I mean, they can, but they can't. It's best that they don't. Because I'm thinking about, one of the things we've talked about is about like the poisonous. There's all these poisonous thoughts, and there's so many toxins that we put into our bodies and our minds and our hearts, and we're not really focusing on the mystery. The uncertainty is really the mystery.
Yes.
And can I trust that mystery and
I
be
think
with that mystery?
That we've always had this I think for you the relationship with the mystery has been really positive, in the relationship with uncertainty. I think you teach that and provide people with that guidance of how to have a positive relationship with the mystery. But I think for a lot of us who haven't, had those teachings, it's scary. The mystery is scary, and maybe not always benevolent. Maybe doesn't always have, and so that is, I think, an important lesson for us right now.
So I wonder what would happen if the mystery is benevolent. I mean, what happens? If the mystery, how does that? If I can imagine that, or if I can, think. Angelus Arian is the quote that you were saying about about 80% of everything is always working. There is something she has researched called the 4 universal addictions. And she feels that these 4 universal addictions have led to these other addictions that we have, or that those lead to the addictions. And one of the addictions is looking at what is not working instead of looking at what is working, and which is interesting.
Yeah.
Right? And another is, the addiction to perfection instead of to excellence and right use of power. And then there's the addiction to drama and intensity instead of.
I think our culture may have that.
A little bit
I'm
of
not
that.
sure, but
Maybe a little bit of that. Right. So, instead of love, and then the need to know, the addiction to the need to know instead of trusting the mystery.
Right. Yes.
Right. So can I, what is my relationship to trust? Do I trust myself? Do I trust others? Do I trust? And so that's some of her really beautiful work that she researched. And so I look at the 4 addictions several times a year, just as a tracking device to make sure, like, where am I? Like, am I being authentic here? And so we were thinking about, and I think that's one of the ways to look at this. Like, we can use different medicines, like Michael's song, like that's a form of medicine, right? Silence, some of us were in meditation, that's another form of medicine. But there's ancient medicines, like what you were talking about, like our plants, being able to go to our plants who are another nation, another people, so we have these plants, and the plants are another family, like they have their own families, and so we can go to them and ask them for medicine, and each person carries their own medicine, and then our words are medicine, and so we have this opportunity to really reflect and to think about what are the remedies as we're in the mystery, and I know that the mystery is one of the remedies, so it's interesting to see the mystery and the unknown as a part of the cure.
Yeah. It's just fun. This is kind of an aside, but when you were saying about silence, I just read this. Just today, I read a study that they looked at rats who were exposed to either noise, chronic noise, or silence, and they found that the rats that had the silence actually had increase in their brain size, which is a part of the brain that is involved in emotion, learning, and memory. And it's just funny, actually.
That's so amazing.
And it's funny that we had to study rats to actually decide that was true, because I think that we could all probably have sorted that out. But now that we've shown it in the rats, I think that we can accept that silence is a good thing. And I think that that's one of the things we were talking about, is we have been given this gift right now with all the things that are terrible and that we're scared of. We also, we had read this article where he talked about somebody. It's like somebody was just looking at our world and just came along and pressed pause, and we've all suddenly entered this state that we've actually never been in before. And I think one of the things he said was that a coyote actually ran across the Golden Gate Bridge, and just things are happening that are. It's like there's room, there's a breath, it's like nature, wildlife. All of us we're taking a deep breath, and we're experiencing a sigh, and maybe our brains are enlarging at the same time. I hope that's true.
We're getting smarter, my God. Oh my God. Oh gosh, please help us get smarter, my goodness. It's interesting. And so if we can't return to the way things are, I have this poem. It's by Janine Marie Hagen. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, but it's called The Return. And this poem was gifted to me by a student who'd gotten it from another student, and I just fell in love with it. It's really powerful, and it's called The Return. And it says, someday, if you are lucky, you'll return from a thunderous journey, trailing snake scales and wing fragments and the musk of earth and moon. Eyes will examine you for signs of damage, or change, and you too will wonder if your skin shows traces of fur or leaves, if thrushes have built a nest of your hair, if Andromeda burns from your eyes. Do not be surprised by prickly questions from those who barely inhabit their own fleeting lives, who barely taste their own possibility, who barely dream. If your hands are empty, treasureless, if your toes have not grown claws, if your obedient voice has not become a wild cry, a howl, you will reassure them. We warned you, they might declare, there is nothing else, no point, no meaning, no mystery at all, just this frantic waiting to die. And yet they tremble mute, afraid you've returned without sweet elixir for unspeakable thirst, without a fluent dance or a holy language to teach them, without a compass bearing to a forgotten border where no one crosses without weeping for the terrible beauty of galaxies and granite and bone. They tremble, hoping your lips hold a secret, and the song your body now sings will redeem them. Yet they fear your secret is dangerous, shattering, and once it flies from your astonished mouth, they, like you, must disintegrate before unfolding tremulous wings. Before unfolding tremulous wings. The Return by Janine Marie Haugen, Geneen, Marie, Marie, Haugen, Haugen. The Return. And so I just think about the true return, like what do we need to return to, and what is ancient. I love how you're in the sun and I'm in the shade. It's like a real I know, sorry about that. We're learning. We don't know what we're doing. We're just following our intuitions.
Sure.
Yeah, really grateful. And so what is it that we're returning to, Carrie? I mean, when you hear that, what shows up for you? And I can give you a point too.
I think a couple of things stood out to me, but Unspeakable Thirst,
right?
It's an amazing image.
She's so talented,
and you know the terrible beauty, because I think that one of the things we're seeing is that, you know, nature, but really just all the world around us, you know, including you and me, we have this beauty. Nature has this beauty, but there's also there's a power there that is also kind of terrible and dangerous, and but that's life. Like that's power. That's really how we know we're alive, whether it's good or bad or we're different, you know. And so I think just embracing that, the terrible beauty of what's happening in the world, what's happening every day, I think is something that really sticks out to me. And you know, we're just being called to do that right now, because we just don't have. I mean, it's one of the things we were talking about is we don't have the distractions that we typically have. We, you know, I was thinking about this today. I was in a store looking for. I was in a hardware store just looking for something I needed for my house, and I was staring at I must have stood in front of this display of items for about 10 minutes because there were so many choices. I was almost paralyzed. I couldn't make a decision, and it really got me thinking, like, how often does this happen in my life where I'm paralyzed with distraction, with something that's really pretty unimportant. Like, it wasn't an important decision, but there were just so many choices I couldn't make the decision.
Wow, and that's amazing.
And you know, but just how often does that happen? But we're so used to it. We're so used to going through life with all of that distraction and, you know, all of the things that we have to choose multiple times a day, kind of, you know, every minute, every hour, and how does that impact our ability to feel, to be present, to really kind of be in that beauty, whether it's terrible or good, in that moment, or beautiful. So I thought of the hardware store.
That's great.
That's great. That's great.
And so I'm thinking about what are the remedies, you know, what are the remedies for the poisons and the toxins, and and how can we deliver our remedies to the earth? How can we deliver our remedies to each other? And how can we not poison each other with our bullshit? How do we like cease and desist the need to like put things into our body or bring things into our lives or bring things into our minds that really don't help us, that aren't helpful things. And so I'm wondering what would be helpful to you this next week, and what would the remedies be, and what are the toxins? Can we name some of the toxins, and are we able to let go of some of the toxins? And feelings are not toxins, okay?
That was a good one.
Yeah, they're not. The feelings are not. They're just feelings, okay? So what you want to know is, that they are feelings and that they can be addressed and processed and resolved. But I think one of the issues that Carrie and I have talked about also before is that, we want to run from our feelings by doing the toxin. Let me have this toxin, like remove and erase all feeling from me, or this distraction or this diversion. But if I have the feeling, then I can ask the feeling, what is it that I need? So the feeling is just a messenger, and it wants to tell us something that it needs. And oftentimes it's, what I need is, I need for all the trees not to be cut down in my neighborhood right now. And what I really need is, I need to, I'm having feelings about that I'm seeing garbage on the beach because I really love the sea and I can't believe that all of this garbage is here, and I feel pain about that. Or, that's a good thing, because we haven't been able to feel about those things. We haven't done anything about it. And so now the earth has to do it for us. She has to be like, okay, children, let's, you're not doing so hot there. So it's how can we allow our feelings to guide us to do the right thing, and to do the healing thing, and to replace the poisons with our passions. How can we replace the poisons with our passions, and the true task at hand, instead of a toxin? Like, what is the real task? If I'm moving from my passion, and if I'm moving from, my true medicine, if I'm moving from my own, ancient and new ways that I found, whether they be ancient medicines or new medicines. Whether I had a friend for a very long time, a precious friend, and he was an herbalist, and he said he would go into the mercado and listen to the grandmothers talk in front of the herbs, and that's how he learned how to make many teas. He would sit and listen. And I think that aligns with what you were saying about the silence and the listening. That if we listen, we're going to hear many things. We're going to see many things. And so if I hear those things, I'm probably going to have feelings about what I'm hearing and seeing. And then how do I want to act on those in a way that is a healing way, or a soul way, or medicinal? Mm-hmm. So how can I make my behavior, my actions are medicinal in this time of change, and of loss and of gain, terrible, terrible loss and terrible gain?
I think the first step to that is basically what's happening right now, which is that we need to slow down. Like, we are moving too fast to know what to do. Everything has to just slow down so that we can know what we're feeling. We can observe what's happening around us. And I think that's one of the things that as we were preparing today, I was thinking for myself, like, I move fast. Like, I'm a fast moving person. And part of it is necessity, or at least that's what I tell myself, but I don't think that's true. I think that we create that necessity because it's more comfortable. It's more comfortable to just be moving fast and to not have to slow down and see what's uncomfortable, to feel what's uncomfortable. And so I think that's, for me, I know that's what I want to work on this week. Is I really want to slow down and observe whatever's coming, whether it's comfortable, uncomfortable, beautiful, terrible. Just take everything in, whatever's there, and just let it be there, and know that it's there for me to learn, that it's going to be my teacher. So I think that's the first step for all of us in order to know what needs to be done.